Hey everyone, welcome back to another Painting with Jay. As always, my name is Jay, so grab a brush, grab some paints, grab some models, and paint along with me. Let's rid our world of unpainted models. I am in the home stretch of my summer and the home stretch of my Space Marine painting challenge to myself. I'm really enjoying it. I'm now going to be painting some scouts today. After some scouts, I have a few squads left that I'll be discussing during this, and I'll just talk about my life recently, and we'll paint along, keep going, set aside this hour of time, and slowly rid our world of unpainted models, and that's the key. So as always, Adam, you missed a spot, and shout out to Cody Rue. Let's get started. Hey everyone, so welcome back. I am painting some scouts, as you can see today. Working on some scouts. I have 5 scouts with bolters, because obviously the new bolter rules for Space Marines are awesome, especially if you're Imperial Fists. And I have 5 scouts with sniper rifles, as you can see. For their faces, I decided just to use this. I really like the Gilliman Flesh Wash, or contrast paint, and I like it. I just put single shade on, and it looks good. It has a bit of contrast to it. It's a quick way of painting flesh. Even on this guy who has a bit more flesh, turned out pretty good. I'm okay with that. This level, I'm painting to a tabletop standard. So today I'll be working on the silver areas. I just started painting with a large brush. I'll be going over the smaller areas with a small brush shortly. Finishing up the silver areas, hitting with a wash, and then paint up the leather. And then if I still have time, we'll continue from there. Maybe the hair. So we'll start with, of course, some lead belcher. I finally got some more lead belcher. I had to stop painting metallics for a little bit because I ran out of metallic paint. It took a little while for my local friendly gaming shop to get their paints back, like 3 months. So yeah, but I got it back now. That's good. Better late than never. And so I bought 3 pots of silver. I'm just going to go through each model, because as I said, I went with a big brush and I painted all the silver areas as I can, as much of them, and then I'm just going to tidy it up with a little brush. I figured, easy way to save a little time, right? To just, get it done. That one's done. This guy. Yeah. So I've been busy. It's been a busy August. Mostly working. Honestly, I'm just been exhausted from working. And it's usually like the time of vacation for people. I did not go on vacation. I'm taking a little bit of a vacation in September. I'm going on a little trip. Luckily we have house sitters to watch my house and the dog and all that stuff. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to Nova Scotia in September. Yep, it's going to be good. I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't had a chance to see a lot of Canada. I've been to Quebec twice. One time was to visit my friend Patrick. So Patrick, if you're out there watching, it was fun visiting you a long time ago in Quebec. I had a good time. Quebec was fun. So I've been to Quebec once, or twice, sorry. I've never been to any other province, right? I live in Ontario, Canada. And the thing is with Canada is provinces are big. They're really big. In most other places, a province would be a country or a set of countries, right? A good chunk of Europe can fall in southern Ontario. And so in Europe, you can cross countries a lot easier than I can cross provinces. In the United States, states aren't very big either. So, where I live, especially in Ontario, Ontario is the hardest. If you're driving through Canada, just Canada alone. If you're driving through the United States, this doesn't necessarily apply. But if you're driving through Canada, Ontario is the hardest to cross because you have to go around a great amount of lakes. I could drive west. I could drive west for a day and a half, I think, and still be in Ontario. If I tried to drive through Canada, right? Picture that. Like if you live in the States, and you drove for a day and a half, you would be across the country. I'd still be in Ontario. It takes days if you're driving in Ontario, to get out of Ontario. So Canada's really big, and I've really wanted to see more of it lately. I just wanting to, see some more of Canada, especially Atlantic Canada, which is the provinces in the Atlantic region. So that would be Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia, PEI, New Brunswick. And so this is our chance. We're going to spend about a week just going across Nova Scotia. And it's really cool, because rarely do I take a vacation that I can actually just stay with Canadian dollar. I don't need to get another currency. I can just use my bank card. It's going to be nice. It's going to be really nice. And I said, I really needed a vacation for a while. I really have. I've been burned out, which is one of the couple reasons why I haven't made a lot of videos. I gotta sneeze. Excuse me. The other part is I've had a couple computer issues, which I think are all fixed right now, or seem to be less severe. I did originally want to do reviews of the 2 supplements, but I was having a problem rendering them, so I didn't ever render them, and I might still release them. It's just it's a little late. The 2 Space Marine supplements. Yeah. But what do I think? People keep asking me about the Space Marine stuff. I really like the fact that they slightly nerfed, and it is a nerf. I agree, it's a slight nerf. I like it that they nerfed Gilliman. I didn't like Gilliman. I don't like Gilliman. I don't. I feel Gilliman single-handedly breaks the codex. And so removing him from the codex, putting him only in supplements, and nerfing his power slightly allow for a stronger codex, in my opinion. And you're like, but Jay, he makes everything better. And that's the reason why he nerfs the codex, right? Because everything has to be nerfed so that in case it is matched up with Gilliman, which could be anything, right? His aura is silly, or his aura used to be silly. It's still pretty strong. It's the equivalent of a chapter master and lieutenant combined, right? And it works on like imperial units, not just so one of his aura abilities works on imperial, not the reroll to wound and all that stuff. But he's a nasty guy, and so everything in the codex had to be toned down in case it is combined with Gilliman, right? And now, since he got slightly weaker, things can get slightly stronger to balance it out. And since armies like mine, I play Imperial Fist, as you can tell here, don't use Gilliman, right? My army got stronger. I feel that. Also, the new army-wide special rules are awesome. So an extra attack whenever you get assaulted or assault someone, that's great. The tactical doctrines. The doctrines are awesome. I really like the doctrines, especially in combination with all the bolter fire that I'm going to have in my army. I was hoping that they would finally make bolters a little bit slightly better for Imperial Fists, because we are the bolter guys. You know, we also used to have the bolter doctrines, right? The bolter disciplines. And so that's cool. You know, 6s count as extra hits with bolters. I like that. And since if you call the tactical doctrine, you can have AP -1 bolters, right? Or AP -2 in case the standard Primaris Marines. AP -2 bolters. That's pretty cool. Now they are bolters, right? So they're strength 4, 1 damage, right? But still, it'll help you mow through infantry pretty easily. Pretty easily, right? Yeah. What else? I do like that. I like the new rules for chaplains. That's cool. I think they're going to be good. Yeah, I think it'll help bring Space Marines back to a competitive area. And I know what everyone says, Space Marines get all the love, but they get a lot of attention, but they're not an amazing codex. Really, there are countless articles and videos which rank the strength of codices, and Space Marines, other than previously Ultramarines have like two competitive builds. You really didn't see a lot of vanilla Marine armies at competitive tournaments, which is a sign they're not competitive. And I'm hoping that these rules do make it. Now, and I do really like the fact, I like it, that you have to take an entirely Imperial Space Marine army, has to be a Space Marine army, to get the extra special rules. You can't take soup. Your whole army has to be Space Marines. Right? Let's start picking on the soup lists. I like that, GW. Because, I don't know, maybe it's just my style of play, but I don't play soup lists typically. I've always played, one codex because it has strengths and weaknesses and it's balanced, and, the competitive meta is all about the soup. Right? Let's take the best thing from every codex, put it together. Cool. And if you play like that, cool. That's your way. Right? Our ways are no different. They're different, but they're no better or worse. I just don't... When I think of a list, I go, okay, maybe it's because the armies I play, like Tyranids. Right? I guess you can do Tyranids and Genestealer Cult. Orcs. You can't really do orcs with a soup. Orc soup list. They're my usual go-to tournament lists armies. So that's okay. As I said, teach his own. I'm okay with that. That people bring soup lists. Maybe if I do a tournament, I've been wanting to play in a tournament for a while. Honestly, and it sounds cheesy, not cheesy, standard, stereotypical. I just don't have the time. I really don't. I've been stupidly busy, and it seems like every weekend that there's a tournament is just a weekend that I'm working. I work one in every 3 weekends for my job. And it always seems to be that weekend. It's like, hey, there's a tournament coming up, Jay. Do you want to come play with it? Sorry, I can't. I'm working. Or, there's a tournament every 2 or 3 months in Peterborough. And the next one's when I'm in Nova Scotia, which is going to be good. I'm not regretting going to Nova Scotia. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a great trip. I just, I'm not doing the tournament. Or there was a tournament last weekend. Or supposed to be a tournament last weekend. But I couldn't go anyway because it was my girlfriend's birthday. And I bought her tickets to her favorite country artist for her birthday. And he was in town last weekend. So, yeah, last weekend we went to Toronto. It was a lot of fun. My brush is splitting. Let me just wash that off and clean it up. We went to Toronto for the weekend. We decided to make a whole weekend of it. So we had someone watch my dog and cat. It was a lot of fun. We had a great time. So on Friday we hit this little Italian joint near our hotel and then caught this play called Come From Away. It's about it's about a town in Newfoundland in Canada that has a really big airport. And it's a true story. It's a summation of true stories. And it's called Gander, Newfoundland. And it's about, well, it's a musical, but it's about 9/11. Because on 9/11, hundreds of planes that were supposed to go to the United States, because obviously on 9/11 they closed all the airways once the attack started happening. So all these planes were deferred to Gander, Newfoundland, which had a very large airport and was out of the... Apparently the theory is the reason why specifically Gander was that in case there were bombs in any more of the planes or any more activity, Gander's a very small area and wouldn't hurt as many people. As if they land in like Toronto, for example, and they crash there, it could hurt a lot of people. And so it's about the Newfies and the primarily Americans. No, it's a lot of people from other countries, but it was primarily Americans in Gander, Newfoundland, interacting for the 4 days that they were kind of trapped there, essentially, because they couldn't go home with the air travel ways were closed. Right, there was no flight allowed over the United States for, I think it was 3 or 4 days. And so it's a true story of the Gander people and the people of the world essentially interacting for 4 days because now those who know Canada, Newfoundland is pretty much the most fun area of Canada, and they're very distinct way of life, and they're not the stereotypical Canadian, but they're a hoot, and so it's a very distinct culture, and it was a very distinct interaction for people. But basically the town and also the neighboring towns just opened up their arms basically and let these people stay at their homes, stay at their churches, their shelters, their homes, their hotels, for days, for free, and didn't ask for anything. It was a really cool story. And apparently a lot of the Americans and people from the world who actually stayed there during this time have come back to visit since 9/11. So there you guys go, a little more Canadian history. Geography and Canadian history. Gander, Newfoundland. Its role in 9/11. Yeah. So, that was really cool. We saw that on Friday. It was a good play. Musical, which I don't usually see musicals, but it was good. Funny. It's very newfie. Then on Saturday, I took my girlfriend to the Chris Stapleton concert in Toronto. So it was the X. What was it called? I used to call it the Molson Amphitheater. Now it's called the Budweiser Stage. But yeah, it's in downtown Toronto, the exhibition area. And because the Canadian exhibition, which is just a huge fair, was going on, and the concert is on the same grounds, we got free tickets to the X. So that was cool. We wandered around the X for a while. We didn't go on any rides or anything. We just bought a lot of fair food. I love fair food because it's like the least healthy and the best tasting food on earth. Yeah, it was awesome. I've always wanted to have a soft shell crab sandwich where they just deep fried the whole soft shell crab. And so I got one of those at the fair. It was awesome. And then we had a deep fried, A deep fried butter tart. That probably took years off my life, but it was worth it. So, good food. And then the Chris Stapleton concert. I'm just going to eat some more Lead Belcher. I've run out. And so then the Chris Stapleton concert was really, really good. The openers were good. There were 2 openers. We liked the second opener more. But Chris Stapleton rocked. Like, he is such a good musician. He performs live, and it's so good. He's one of those people that sounds just as good, if not better, than on his albums, you know? You can really tell his albums aren't that manipulated. They don't have a lot of effects on them. And he sang so well, and yeah, it was a really, really good concert. Really good concert. Definitely one of the best ones I've ever seen. So, and obviously, he's my girlfriend's favorite. And it was her birthday. Like, it was perfect timing. Her birthday is this week, and he was in town. So, can't really beat that, right? Adam, you missed a spot. Yeah, he performed pretty much all the songs that we figured he would. He did play a slightly different set list than what I did was I've been watching his average set lists. You can just check it out, and sites track his set list from town to town for this tour, and they create an average set list. So usually he opens with this song or has this song at the lead of his list. His set list was slightly different for Canada. I thought that was a little interesting. He didn't play some songs I figured he would play for the Canadian audience, for what is legal in Ontario and Canada, for example. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But yeah, good concert. Really, really good concert. No complaints about the concert. And that was a lot of fun. And then Sunday, we went as a gift to me. It was actually a very belated birthday present. Well, it's not belated. I got it for my birthday, and then it's been a while waiting for it. My girlfriend figured we're already in Toronto. We went and caught a Jays game. And she bought awesome tickets. They were really, really good seats. Which I guess isn't that hard anymore for the Jays, because they're not so good. They're bad this year. But they have a strong young core who've come up this year that I think show a lot of potential for the Jays for the future. But man, did we get our butt handed to us by not a good team. We were playing the Seattle Mariners. And the Seattle Mariners are they're right there in the bottom 5 with the Toronto Blue Jays. We're like a game apart. So they're not a good team either. Neither of us were a really good team in the standings. And man, did they beat us bad. We lost 7-0. And we only got... I think the focus is a little off. I adjusted it to there. Whatever. Could just be the fact that it's half painted. And so we got our butt handed to us. It was a fun game. Like, I got a hot dog and some food, and caught a Jays game, which I do try to catch a Jays game once a year. It's what I typically do. I try to catch a Jays game once a year. And yeah, it was good. But 7-0. We got 2 hits. So we were literally watching the Seattle Mariners hit the ball. At night, every night of a Jays game, or the next day, there's what's called Jays in 30, where they do a quick half-an-hour show summary of the main highlights of the game. And the one from my game that I saw, they couldn't even fill the half an hour because there were not really any highlights for the Jays. And the Mariners, they got all their hits, pretty much all their runs except for one were home runs. So it wasn't like a lot of hits in a row. It was just like, a single, and then a home run, and then another home run, and then another home run, and then a single, and another home run. That's basically their way that they scored. So there weren't tons of highlights. Like on the Jays side, one of the highlights was a double play. Oh look, they did a double play. Good job. Like it was that was literally the highlight. So yeah, the biggest problem that the Blue Jays have, and that they're going to have for a while, because we decided to get rid of all of our pitchers, is we don't have any pitchers. We have some young talent that can hit on a given day. Some days they can really hit the ball. But man, we don't have any pitching. We don't have any pitching. And I don't know what the plan is for the Jays, because they better go out and get some pitchers, because we don't have any. And it's laughing. Certain games, they're just beating us up because we don't have pitchers. And so we have these bullpen days where it's like, hey, we're going to put in 7 pitchers in a game. Hopefully they do well, in the place of 1 starter, And it just doesn't work. I don't like that tactic. Now, there's also a relatively new strategy that was kind of made famous last year by the Tampa Bay Rays, who are a very different story. They're playing really well this year. No audience. They don't get any support from their community. It's the lowest attendance basically in the league. But they made famous this thing called the opener strategy, where you start a relief pitcher in the place of a starter pitcher, and then the starter takes over in like inning 2 or 3. And that way, your starter can go from innings like 2 to 7 or 2 to 8, and only face hopefully the top of the order a couple times, right? It's to change who they face more in the order, which is a cool strategy. And the Jays have employed that a few times this year, and it's worked sometimes. The reason is Charlie Montoyo, the current manager of the team, just got promoted from, like, he got hired from the Blue Jays from the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. And the Rays are actually in playoff contention. They're currently in the wild card race, and they're getting still no support from their community. So, wacky, you know. Wacky. Yeah, and so that was my weekend, and then we came back. And I was tired. It was a busy weekend. It was one of those things where you go away for the weekend, you come back more tired than when you left. You're like, I need a vacation for my weekend. You know? But it was a really good time. And it's kind of my late vacation until I go away to Nova Scotia for a week. And then that's pretty much my vacation for the year. I do bank some days. You know? I do bank some vacation time. But, yeah, these scouts are coming along, as you can see. I don't have that many colors left. After this, they are in the home stretch. I'm not going to paint them up to that crazy of a standard, but they're getting painted. To be honest, I'm kind of excited to stop painting Space Marines. I've been painting Space Marines for now since, I think, May. And I'm really excited to have a fully painted Space Marine army. So if I ever want to go to a tournament or an event or something, I can go and have a great time with my Space Marines, and they're fully painted. I have some options for lists. And I'm reading my World of Unpainted Models. Because as we discussed, I have a lot, as like many of you. We have a lot of unpainted models that we need to paint. And so, as I said, I'm finishing up these guys. My goal is to have Space Marines completely done before I go to Nova Scotia. And then I'll take a break from painting for a week because I'll be on vacation. And then when I come back, Imperial Knights. That's my next challenge. And I think I'm going to give myself, I don't know, either 4 or 6 weeks. That's my challenge. To paint up Imperial Knights. Yeah. 4 or 6 weeks. One or the other. I have 6 Imperial Knights to paint. 3 little guys. 3 big guys, including a Castellan. And then after that, I've decided my next thing I'm going to do. Either some terrain or the next army. But at this pace, as I said, even if I take a little bit of a break for a couple weeks, I should be done next spring or summer at the latest. Which to me, if I'm in the last year of my painting challenge to myself to get all my models painted for 40K, that to me is the home stretch. The home stretch. You know? And then, if I want to buy more models, I can. But until then, I'm trying really not to. Like, I really do want to buy some of these new Space Marine models. Like, the Executioner is pretty cool. The only problem is with that Executioner thing is that unless you're playing a friendly game, you really want to bring like 2 or 3 of them. They're a model that is infinitely better with more on the table. Because, again, you bring like one of them. If your opponent goes first, the odds are it's going to die. Right? Your opponent will just focus their attention on killing your executioner. Boom, it's dead. And just as well, if you go first, if you do go first, you'll have one round of shooting, and then your opponent will be like, oh crap, that thing is pretty powerful. Let's make it die, right? But when you bring, let's say, 2, right? Then all of a sudden, your opponent goes, okay, one should survive turn 1 at least. If you're lucky, maybe both of them. And then you get to fire twice. And again, double the amount of firepower. It's so much better. And then what if you have 3? And then again, with 3, your opponent may just not even go near them and ignore them and then go for other things. Because you'll have to take out, you say even 1 a turn. The other 2 are going to fire one. Maybe if you go first, all 3 are going to fire turn 1. And then 2 are going to fire turn 2 if they kill 1. And then, you know what I mean? You'll still kill a lot of stuff. Each one can do a lot of damage with it. I like the heavier las cannon. I don't like the plasma. Why would you take the plasma? Don't take the plasma. And so, yeah, right? It'd be cool. And 3 is way better than 1. But then you have to spend like $400 on these $400 on these 3 vehicles, right? And that makes them infinitely better, though. Cool. This guy's done. And this guy's done. Alright, the silvers are done. Which is funny because I just literally put more paint in my palette, so I just put it right back in the pot. Waste not, want not. Alright, so that's done. So now I'm just going to take some non-oil and shade all the silvers that we just painted, and then I'll clean up the leather areas on the models. And then that's probably going to be the end of the video. Because, yeah, we'll paint for an hour, roughly, right? Yeah. What time's it? Let's see. Okay. Okay. So let's get some non-oil, which I totally should have bought more when I was at my game store the other day. But whatever, I'll buy more soon. Starting to paint some pure light soon, so you know I'll need non-oil. The same thing goes with that new suit. Right? That suit is cool. But you really want to take like 2 or 3 of the suits. And then you decide what gear you want to take. If you take the flamer, right, you want to have 3 of them. Because, once again, if your opponent goes first with a flamer, the coolest thing is, with that flamer, I would personally just infiltrate them, get them really close to your opponent, and then flame, that would be 66 flaming shots. That would do some serious damage. Right? Some serious damage to their army. And then you can assault, turn 1. But once again, they become infinitely better in a competitive environment, especially because in a friendly environment, your friends might hit you with 2 or 3 of them, because then your opponent may not have an answer immediately to them before they can get to them, right? And again, it depends on who goes first and a few other factors. I agree, but you just want to they get better in 3s. So then again, you want to. If you're going to bring 1, you might as well bring 3, and then you have to go and buy 3. And so that's why I just really haven't been a part of the competitive meta for such a long time, is I don't want to pay to play in that circumstance. I can bring a list, and I can have a great time and be semi-competitive with what I have. And I usually bring a combination of things that I've been working on and painting, and it's good. I like that. I just don't ever want to be the guy who has to go out and buy 3 executioners, and I know people in my meta that do that. And that's okay. If they want to do that, they want to do that. It's their right. They can totally buy whatever they want. But I don't want to do that. Maybe one day, once I get all my models painted. But until then, I can't justify that. I can't. It is not justifiable to go out and spend $400 on 3 models that I will use for a tournament. You know? If I was a competitive player playing a lot of competitive play with the same army, and I was taking it really seriously, yes, because then you definitely get your worth out of it. But for me, you know, I've played a few games in the last couple months, but that's it. I haven't had the chance to go to any tournaments, and if I go to a tournament, it'll be more of a fun tournament, where like prizes are via raffle. And, you know, I don't really have an interest in the ITC. I don't really, you know. Yeah, that's it to me, and it's great that, you know, like, people do that. Cool, but the problems with the competitive meta is it changes so often. I bet these people are finding them. You know, a lot of these players have to constantly go, "Oh man, that executioner is awesome. You know, I should go buy 3." And they go and buy 3 executioners, spend $400, and then even more than that. In Canada, it'd be about $400, including tax. And then what? You play that for a while, but then, you know, your opponents will have an answer to it, and then what? You shift your focus, and you go, "Oh man, I better go and buy 3 of these things." And that's it. If you want to do that, you completely. You know, I don't. It's not like I don't respect that. I do respect it. It's just not for me. I don't. As I'm painting up scouts, you know. And that's it. I see these new 40K models, and I really like them, but I just don't want to go out and buy them right now. I'm ridding my world of unpainted models, right? And I've been enjoying seeing less unpainted models, less boxes, less work ahead of me. And so I'm going to keep feeding that feeling. And not feeding into the buying a lot of new models. And that's the thing, as painters and gamers, we don't have to paint all of our models. Right? That's the thing. We don't ever have to have an empty workshop. It's just my specific goal, but it's also the goal of a lot of people's. You know, that we tend to accumulate lots of models. And then the question is, do you want to, in the end, sell them? Or paint them? Or both? Or play with them? Or both? You know? Paint them and then play with them for a while and then sell them. You know, up to you. You can do whatever you want. But I personally love to paint. I like to paint more than I like to play. I really do feel that painting is very relaxing to me. I love to paint my models. I love to, you know, bring these things to life, and playing is fun too. I do find playing to be fun, especially the fact that I can. It's a good way of just getting out places and meeting people and having a fun game. I don't care really about winning. I like to just stay in the competitive area of the tournament, in the sense that if it's a more fun tournament, I'll bring a more fun list. If it's a more competitive tournament, I'll bring a more competitive list. But I don't care about crushing people. I just want to compete with the people on the same level. But that's I'm not interested in ITC, because then you're just, you know, for most of the armies, you're like, okay, what's really, really good? Okay, I'm going to bring 3 of those, or 9 of those, depending on if it's a squadron, right? That's literally, pick any competitive ITC list, it's like, okay, we're going to spam this, and spam this, and spam this, and then fill up the points with this remaining troop choice. Or, again, the standard Imperialist, all right, I'm going to bring a Castellan, or a Crusader. Okay, there's my heavy point sink. Now I'm going to bring a bunch of other guys just to get them all the CP that I can so that I can abuse the CP. Okay, done. It was really annoying me when, for Tyranids, people's competitive Tyranid lists were 9 Flyrants at one point before they brought in the rule of 3. 9 Flyrants. What? The Codex is way more than 1 model. And it's just wrong to me when you see that. 9 Flyrants. 9 Flying Hive Tyrants. For those who don't know what a Flyrant is. That to me was silly. So, I don't know. That's my rant. I'm not a pay-to-win player. I do buy things because they're cool looking. I did buy a Castellan because I really always wanted to own one. And I'll play it sometimes. And you know what? I will play Imperial Soup one day. I'll try it for a tournament. But I'm going to bring Space Marines. And I'm going to bring a knight just to be able to kill some heavy stuff. And I'm going to have a fun time. And I'm not going to play like a jerk. I'm not saying there are some very good people who play in the ITC. There are. Some very good people. It's just not my cup of tea. No. These scouts are going to be fun. All scout army. They're cheaper troops choices. No. Yeah. That's it. I like to have fun games. Let me just wash off my brush for a sec. Yeah. So as I was saying, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. That's just my rant. As I said, just my rant. No one's better or worse, just to each his own. And after these scouts, my attention is going to be turning to the probably an ancient. I have 3 things left after this. I have 3 more vanilla Space Marine models left, or models, or I guess models in this case. The first one is an ancient, which I just base coated. That'll take me about a week usually because they are detailed models. So the ancient is one, and then I have a Land Speeder Storm that I've actually had in my workshop partially assembled for years, and that's one of the models again that I've had forever, and that I'm really looking forward to finishing. And so let me see here. I've almost finished assembling it. In retrospect, maybe it would have been a better idea to not finish assembling it because there's 6 scouts on it. But whatever, I'll paint the scouts up. There we go. So all the non-oil is done. I'll clean up the how much are it? 45 minutes painting. For a few minutes I'll paint a little bit more. But yeah, so I have, let's see. So I have just to show you in the drawing, I have an ancient here. Cool. I have a Land Speeder Storm that is partially assembled. Yeah, I'm just missing the scouts on the other side. And then, whatever, I'll paint them up. And then the last thing I have to paint is a Vindicator, the tank, but I haven't assembled it yet. So, yeah, after these guys are done, which they'll be done before my next painting with Jay, I'm guessing, based on the amount of time I'll have dedicated to it over the next few days. Yeah, that's it. And then I'll have these guys done. Get them all finished, and probably, I don't know what I'm going to paint next. Probably the Primaris Ancient. You know, I haven't decided yet. I'll pick up a model and paint it. That's what I'm going to do. So, yeah, I'll get the Primaris Ancient done. That'd be nice. And then 2 vehicles after that. And that's my challenge for September. I want to get those 3 things done, which I think is very likely. And then October, start the new army. And keep going. Don't look back. Don't look back. It's interesting. I didn't see all these. Each chapter getting their own book for Space Marines coming. All these supplements, right? I didn't see that coming. I think it's interesting. So 2 so far, of course, White Scars and Ultramarines. They're both cool. They're both cool. And I'm kind of excited when the Imperial Fist one comes out, because then I can use Lysander. If I want to. Lysander's not bad. And arguably, I'd rather just upgrade a captain to a chapter master. And yeah. Oh, present paint there. Like Adam, I've missed a spot. Yeah. There we go. But it'll be good. I'm looking forward to each chapter getting their own little book. Cool. That might be the future, because again, we're pretty much out of codices now. Other than Sisters. Right? Does anyone else have a codex left? Maybe? I'm trying to think. I don't know. Does anyone left have a... Sisters, obviously, are the big one. Yeah, they're already doing like these 2.0 codices for 8th edition. I don't know. Also, I guess we might have only like a year left until 9th edition. I have no idea. It's been already 2 or 3 years. So, yeah, I'm kind of curious what's going to happen with 40K. I guess next summer there'll probably be a new edition, is my guess. Yeah. Then back to a new set of rules. Maybe not. Maybe they'll go with a 4-year plan. Previous editions had a 4-year plan. It used to be a 4-year cycle. And I think right now we're 3 years in. 2 or 3 years in. So. And they're definitely almost out of codices. I guess we'll have to see. Time will tell. I really do think 40K is in a good spot right now. So, we'll have to see what happens in the near future. Maybe by the time I'm done painting all my models, a new edition will be out. And then I'll buy some new models. Good. First step done. Just gonna check out what time it is. Yeah, I have to leave for work soon, so I'll call it in probably a few minutes. But yeah, I've been enjoying this. I really have. Just getting these models painted. I've had these scout models for a while, and it feels good to have them all almost done. It really does. To have a little squad of scouts, a couple squads of scouts. I already have a couple as well, so I think I have enough to do a scout army if I ever want to try it out. I know a lot of people just take scouts because they're cheap, so it's a cheap troop choice to, again, you spam the competitive, and then you take a couple scouts. Could work too. So I'm going to take some Scrag Brown for the next few minutes and do a quick edge highlight just to make the leather really pop, and call it a day with these guys. I'm almost done. I need to highlight up the metallics after it dries, do a cleanup color, the hair and the eyes, and the basing. So I will have these guys done before next week's episode. That's my goal. And then after that, so for next week's episode, probably that Primaris Ancient is my guess. Maybe I've worked a little more on him. And we'll go from there. But I really do hope in internet land, all you people, you're out there seeing what I'm seeing. Your world's slowly being ridden of unpainted models. That would be really cool to work, because I do feel we've been on this journey for a while, and this is like episode 120 something of Painting with Jay. We've been on this epic journey of painting models. Now, again, I'm going to keep Painting with Jay's probably going, even when I'm done, and I'll just paint other things. But that's when I might start buying new models. Yeah, I don't know. But I am really getting happy with seeing the amount of open shelf space in my workshop. The amount of painted models in my games room. And yeah, it's been good. It's been really good. It makes me happy that I'm accomplishing this goal. And I hope that you in internet land out there are feeling the same thing. The same feeling of satisfaction. That you are accomplishing your goal of ridding your world of unpainted models. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. And then for the hair colors, I'm just going to choose a couple hair colors, like a light brown, a blonde, a black hair. And go from there. Look at that. Makes it really pop. Cool. Alright, I probably should call it now, or maybe one more, because time is running out. I have to go get ready to go to work. It's just a good painting session before going to work the rest of the day. Good. All right, so let's end now. So that concludes another Painting with Jay. I really hope you enjoyed this Painting with Jay and got some work done too. As you can see, I'm almost done these scouts. And so next week, hopefully I'll be on the next thing. Probably the Primaris Ancient is where I'm guessing I'll be. If not finishing up that, then probably the Landspeeder Storm. We'll see. You know, it'll be fun. And then after I'll build that Vindicator and get that done, and that's it. I hopefully will be done by the end of September. I'm going away, as I mentioned in this video, so I hope that I can get it all done by September. And then October, since it's usually Orktober, might as well paint some knights. Why not? So, as always, this video is brought to you by my Patreon campaign. Link in the description below if you want to help support my videos. It's because of them that I can do all these videos. As you can see, their names go by my head. I can't thank you enough, Patreon campaigners. Stay tuned for more Painting with Jay. Until next time, this is Jay saying happy painting with me.